Hello class, this speech is about the inside details of an inmate records clerk, which is the job that I do. The title of this is An Inside Perspective on Inmate Records Clerk. The purpose is to inform. Specific purpose is to explain to the audience the details of how a prisoner's time is accounted for while they are incarcerated at the Lawton Correctional Facility, which is a part of the GEO Group Incorporated where I work. Um, visual aid that I will be using is a picture, just an overview of how the facility looks to give the audience an idea of the type of environment that I work in. And I also have another picture of how the cells look, just to give it more of an idea. If a violent crime, if a violent crime was committed against you or a loved one, would you feel safer knowing that their time is accounted for accordingly? As an inmate records clerk, we're required to properly audit an inmate record on top of be able to calculate their time correctly and post things to their card accordingly. The records portion of most prisons is the backbone of the entire operation. Without us, you wouldn't be able to know if a prisoner were to catch new charges from a different county, if they were to parole to the streets, anything that has to do with their incarceration, or any changes that have to be made to what they're sentenced on is what we do. At Lawton Correctional Facility, there are approximately 2,536 inmates. Each inmate, of course, is incarcerated under a different term and a different length. Judges get together with sentence administration, and they've incorporated programs to help offenders get out faster than what their normal length is. Say, for example, an inmate may be able to get good time, which is like promotions to level 3, level 4, just different privileges. They might be able to take certain classes, or they might be required to take certain classes in order to complete their term of incarceration or even get out faster. Um, so they, get together so that they can incorporate these programs. Um, Inmates are also able to take classes and graduate high school. They can even take some college classes, which the credit can be accounted toward their time. Extra days often encourage inmates to change their behavior in order to get out sooner. When an inmate gets a write-up, which is known as a misconduct, they can have those days taken away from them and added back onto their time. Once an inmate becomes short on days, which is 365 days less, um, the warden of the facility may restore a certain amount of the days that have been taken to the misconduct, just depending on their crime and depending on how long they've been in and how much longer they have. The importance of the Consolidated Records Card. The CRC holds information of an inmate from their first day of incarceration and is nearly impossible to replace. The Records Department is responsible for keeping track of the CRC and making sure each inmate receives the correct amount of time that they are supposed to be credited for. The CRC also helps inmates in the proper areas of the facility according to race, religion, or even their crime. CRCs must be audited throughout the year by staff and by the Department of Corrections auditors. Audits are conducted to verify the information posted on the CRC is correct. Meaning, if the offender took a class or got a misconduct, the auditors, as well as the staff, have to make sure that everything corresponds. We have a certain system, which is called OMS, Offender Management System, that has to respond to everything that's been posted on the card. Basically, they have to match each other, or something's wrong. The auditors also make sure that the information is correct, which enable us to keep a correct track of their days. Um, there are prisons all across the country that are becoming overcrowded. And I just want to give you an idea of where I work and what our facility looks like. This is an overview of the entire facility. It looks crowded, but it really isn't. I also have a picture just to give you an idea of how the cells look, and this is where the inmates live and where they're usually housed at. And that's the majority of how most of our cells look like. Now, there in California, prisons have been forced to release some violent and nonviolent offenders due to their overcrowding. Other states and facilities have incorporated programs to help release inmates sooner. And doing this, facilities avoid becoming overcrowded and keeping people in who may have been put in for a crime that wasn't as serious of an offense as other crimes, such as murder, rape, manslaughter, things of that nature. As an inmate records clerk, we are responsible for ensuring programs are correctly posted and accounted for. This comes with a great deal of responsibility, and programs have been set in place to work in everybody's favor. In conclusion, with the population of over 2,500 inmates, it is very important to ensure that the correct information is posted to everyone's CRC. The information often coincides with a possible early release due to good behavior. Without the records department being properly staffed, it will be difficult to effectively run a position, as this job is one of the most important. And that was a speech on being an inmate records clerk and just an overview of my job.